Tu Tien picked up the folded paper, 3 sentences, then her hand started shaking. Jack! Tu Tien's voice came out flat. She's gone. Jack walked over fast. He took the paper from her hand. The handwriting was small, careful, the way a person writes when they have practiced the sentences in their head for hours before putting pen to page. To Jack and Tu Tien, I will never forget what you did for me. I am sorry for leaving without saying goodbye, but I did not have the courage to say it to your faces. Whatever happens in the future, I will always remember you both. Ni. Jack folded the paper back up. He looked at the empty chair where Ly had been sitting 20 minutes earlier. The basket of corn was still there. The cup of water Tu Tien had set down for her was still half full. Her sandals were gone from the door. She left on foot, Jack said. Her village is more than 10 kilometers away. She doesn't know the roads. She has never been outside the farm except to the market with me. Tu Tien grabbed her phone. She's pregnant. She's 7 months. She cannot walk 10 kilometers in this heat. Tu Tien. Jack was already at the truck. Get in. Now. We start from the alley. She can't have gotten far. If you've been with Let from the beginning, type "find her" in the comments right now. I want to know who's still walking this road with her, because by the end of this video, none of us are going to be the same. That morning, 3 hours earlier, Tu Tien had been sitting at the breakfast table with Let. The light was soft. The dog Mew was sleeping under the table. Ly had been quiet, but not unusually so. She had asked Tu Tien for her phone number, written it on a folded piece of paper, tucked it into the inside of her sleeve. Tu Tien had not thought twice about it. She had given Ly her own number too, written it clearly with both digits. Said, if anything happens, you call me, do you understand? And Ly had nodded. Now, looking back, Tu Tien remembered something. The way Let had not eaten her breakfast that morning. The way Let had folded her cardigan into the bag at the bottom, folded it too neatly. The way you fold something you are putting away forever. Not the way you fold for an afternoon trip. The way Ly had said, "Thank you, sister," 3 times instead of 2. Tu Tien had missed it, all of it. While she was preparing the basket and thinking about which loofah fields to harvest from, Let had been quietly saying goodbye to every room of the farm. Jack drove the truck fast down the alley. The wind was hot. Tu Tien sat in the passenger seat with her phone in her lap, dialing Ly's number over and over. The number was not registered. Let had a phone. Jack had bought it for her 2 weeks ago, but Let had left it on the kitchen table beside the goodbye letter. Tu Tien had not noticed that either, until just now. "Stop," Tu Tien said. "Jack, stop the truck. That woman selling cigarettes." Jack pulled over. Tu Tien rolled down the window. "Excuse me, Chi. We're looking for someone. A pregnant girl, about 25, wearing a green and purple plaid scarf on her head, carrying a small bag. Did she walk past here?" The woman thought for a moment. Yes, she did, walking slowly. Maybe an hour ago. She asked me how far it was to Trung Truck, Hamlet 4. Jack's hand tightened on the steering wheel. "Thank you, Chi." He drove. The truck went up the slope at the end of the village. The road narrowed. The asphalt ended. From here it was packed dirt and rice fields are on both sides. The sun was directly overhead now. 10 kilometers, Tu Tien said quietly. She thinks she can walk 10 kilometers in this sun. In her condition. She thinks she can't ask us for one more thing. Jack. Tu Tien turned to him. I missed it. This morning. I missed every single sign. I was thinking about the loofah harvest. I was thinking about whether we should give her the phone numbers in writing. I missed her. Jack reached over and put his hand on her knee without taking his eyes off the road. You did not miss her. Tu Tien. She did not let herself be seen. That is different. They drove for another 15 minutes. The rice fields rolled past on both sides. Then, on a bend in the road, Tu Tien saw her, a small figure in a green and purple plaid scarf, walking on the dirt shoulder, one hand cradling her belly, the other carrying a small cloth bag. She was walking very slowly. She was favoring her right foot. From the back, in the heat, she looked like a person who was already at the limit of what her body could do. "Stop," Tu Tien said. Jack stopped the truck. He left the engine running. Tu Tien got out and walked toward Ly. Ly did not turn. She had not heard them. Ly. Ly turned. Her face was red. Her lips were pale. There was a damp patch at the back of her shirt where she had been sweating through. Her eyes filled the moment she saw Tu Tien. "Sister Tu Tien." Why? "I'm sorry." Ly's voice was so quiet, Tu Tien had to step closer to hear. "I'm sorry. I saw how busy you were. I saw how much you and Jack have already given me. I did not want to be one more thing. I thought if I just walked, I could get home myself, and then you wouldn't have to." "Ly, stop." Tu Tien put both hands on Ly's shoulders. "Look at me. Look at me. You are not a burden. Whatever is in your head right now, it is not true. We had already booked a car. We were going to drive you. We had planned for this since this morning." Ly closed her eyes. A tear slid down through the dust on her cheek. She whispered, "Then why?" "Because I am tired of being the kind of person who needs help, sister. Just for one day. I wanted to be the kind of person who could walk home on her own feet." Tu Tien did not have an answer for that. She wrapped both arms around Ly. She held her there at the side of the dirt road, in the middle of the rice fields, in the middle of the heat, and did not let go for a long time. Jack came up behind them quietly. He did not say anything. He just took Ly's bag from her shoulder, the way he had taken her into the truck that day in the hospital, the way a brother takes things from a sister without making it a thing. "Come on," he said gently. "Let's go. There is a car waiting at the bottom of the hill." The taxi driver did not ask any questions. He could see what kind of trip this was. Jack sat in the front passenger seat. Tu Tien sat in the back beside Ly, holding her hand. Ly leaned her head against the window for the first 10 minutes and did not speak. Then, halfway through the trip, she opened her eyes. "Sister." "Yes. If today does not go well, if my mother-in-law turns me away again, if my husband..." Stop. We are going in with you, both of us. Jack and I will not leave that gate until we know you are safe." Ly squeezed Tu Tien's hand. She did not cry. She had used up all her crying earlier, but her fingers were cold. When the taxi turned into Hamlet 4 of Trung Truck, Jack told the driver to stop at the end of the lane. They got out. Jack paid the driver. Ly stood at the corner of the lane and looked toward her mother-in-law's house. Her feet did not move. "You don't have to," Tu Tien said quietly. "Ly, we can turn around right now. We can go home. You can stay with us as long as you need." Ly shook her head. "No, sister. If I do not face this today, I will never face it. Let's go." They walked up to the gate together. Jack went first. He knocked once. A voice from inside, sharp, irritated. "Who is it?" "My son is sleeping." The door opened. A woman in her late 50s stood there. The moment she saw Ly behind Jack, her face changed. Not toward joy. Not toward relief. Toward something harder. "You." Again. Nam's mother's eyes moved from Ly to Tu Tien to Jack. "And who are these people? Why are you bringing strangers to my door?" "Bah." Jack kept his voice low and even. "Please. Can we sit and talk for a moment? We are just friends of Ly's. We met her on the road a few days ago. She was not well. We took her in to recover. The doctor checked her. She is weak. She needs care. We brought her home today so your family could take her back." Nam's mother stood very still in the doorway. Her face moved through several expressions before settling on one Tu Tien could not quite read. "Come in," she said finally. "Sit. Get the chairs from the back. My son is drunk. He's asleep." Tu Tien and Jack stepped into the courtyard. Ly walked past her mother-in-law without looking at her, and went to the back to get the chairs. Tu Tien noticed that Ly did not seem to know where things were anymore. She opened the wrong door, then the right one, like a person who had been gone long enough to forget the rooms of her own home. When they were seated, Nam's mother poured tea. Her hands were steady, but her eyes never settled. She watched Jack the whole time. She did not look at Ly even once. "My son has been looking for her," she said. "For days. We did not throw her out. She left." "Bah," Tu Tien spoke gently. "We understand. We are not here to accuse anyone. We just want to make sure Ly has somewhere safe to give birth and somewhere to raise her child. My grandchild will be raised here, in this family." Nam's mother said this without looking at Ly. Whatever Ly thinks she has been through, she has a husband. She has a home. The child has a father. We will take care of her. A door opened at the back of the house. A man stepped out, blinking, his hair messy from sleeping. Nam. His eyes were red. There was alcohol on his breath, even from across the courtyard. "Mom, what's the noise?" "Your wife is home, son." Nam blinked. He looked at Ly. His face did not change. "Oh," he said, "you came back." That was all. Ly did not answer. Jack stood up. "Ah, Nam, we have brought your wife home. The doctor says she needs rest and proper nutrition. She is 7 months along. Please take good care of her." Nam scratched his head. "Yes, thank you. Mom will handle it." He walked back into the house. The door closed behind him. Tu Tien watched the door for a long moment. There was a heaviness in her chest she could not name. Nam's mother turned to Jack. "Thank you for bringing her. What is your name? What do you do? You must have a lot of money to be hiring taxis like this." "I'm an ordinary man, Ba, just helping where I can." Her eyes were sharp. "Well, we thank you." Ly, walk them out." Ly stood up. She walked Tu Tien and Jack to the gate. Outside, on the dusty road, Tu Tien took both of Ly's hands. "Ly, listen to me. You have our phone numbers, both of them. If anything happens, you call. I don't care what time it is. I don't care what the reason is. You call. Do you hear me?" "Yes, sister." "And this." Tu Tien pressed something into Ly's palm. "A folded envelope. Some money from the market today. Keep it hidden. Do not tell them you have it. It is for emergencies. For you and the baby." Ly tried to refuse. Tu Tien closed Ly's fingers around the envelope. "I will not take no. Take it." Ly nodded. She slipped the envelope into the inside of her cardigan. Jack squeezed Ly's shoulder. "Take care of yourself, Em. We will visit. Soon." They turned and walked toward the taxi. Tu Tien glanced back once. Through the open gate, she saw Nam's mother pull Ly aside by the elbow. Nam's mother leaned close to Ly's ear. She whispered something Tu Tien could not hear. Ly's face did not move, but her hand tightened on the envelope inside her cardigan. Tu Tien turned back. She did not say anything to Jack. She had not been sure of what she saw. That evening at the farm, the sun set differently. Jack and Tu Tien ate dinner without speaking much. The third chair at the table stayed empty. Tu Tien washed the dishes slowly. Jack went out on the porch with his phone. At 9 o'clock, Tu Tien called Ly's number. The phone rang. Nobody answered. She called again. The same. The third time, the call went straight to voicemail. The phone had been turned off. Tu Tien sat down on the kitchen step. Her phone vibrated in her hand. A new message. Not from Ly's number. From a number Tu Tien did not recognize. She opened it. 4 words. "Dung goi nua ko." Don't call her anymore, sister. Tu Tien stood up. She walked out to the porch. Jack was sitting on the step, his phone open, the screen casting blue light on his face. He was looking at the photograph of his father with the young Ly. "Jack," Tu Tien said quietly, "look at this." She showed him the message. Jack read it. He stared at it for a long time. Then he looked up at his wife. "Tu Tien, whose number is this?" "I don't know. This is not Nam's number. This is not his mother's number." "I know." Jack stood up. He walked to the railing of the porch. He looked out into the dark farm. The cicadas were loud. Somewhere a dog was barking. "Tu Tien," Jack said, "when Ly's mother-in-law pulled her aside at the gate today, did you see what she whispered?" "No." "Neither did I." But Ly's face changed. "I saw it through the rearview mirror as we drove away. The cicadas were very loud. We are going back," Jack said. "Tomorrow morning, early, before they wake up." If you are still here at the end of this, and I know it has been heavy, do me one last thing. Subscribe and turn on the bell. Because tomorrow morning Jack and Tu Tien are going back to that house, and what they find when they get there, none of us are ready for it. I will see you there.